In this video, I'm going to be talking about a project that ICO'd in late 2017 that is building real infrastructure that makes a real difference and provides a much needed service in parts of West Africa. The day is coming closer for token holders like myself to receive a share in the revenue that this project creates. Guys, take a look at Token Metrics. I've been using their Trader Weekly Index for low cap coins on Binance, where they've been getting these sorts of returns, 426%, since they started this index in the beginning of February. This dark blue line shows the return on Bitcoin. Had you invested in Bitcoin over the last week? And this is the return that I've been getting over the last week using the Trader Weekly Index for low cap coins on Binance. Affiliate link in the description below. Now, the project in question is CAJUTEL. I'm going to be interviewing the CEO, Andreas Fink. You can find all my videos in the playlist to CAJUTEL. I've been covering this since 2017, and I think the potential for this project is huge. This is my BitTube channel. Please come and subscribe to me on BitTube, censorship-resistant platform. You can also find me on Odyssey, Library, and BitTube. Follow me on Twitter, CryptoRichYT, and join my official Telegram announcements channel. All the links in the description below. Huge. Hey, Andreas, thank you so much for making yourself available. Really do appreciate it. And in this video, we're going to be finding out about getting an update on what's happening with CAJUTEL. And it is very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. And for those who don't know, CAJUTEL ICO'd in late 2017, very small ICO, using the funds that they raised to build a network of high-speed, solar-powered Wi-Fi towers in Western Africa. And we're going to find out how the development of the project is going. Token holders like myself and those that have purchased CAJ tokens, they will be getting dividends from the company once it starts producing a profit. And Andreas, you are the CEO of CAJUTEL with a background in building internet and tech and IT systems.
Yes, hello.
Hi. And that behind you is a screenshot of Freetown, you told me.
Yeah, it's a picture of Freetown. Great.
Okay. Well, look, do you want to just start by just telling us what the latest is? I interviewed Fode a couple of months ago, and then you a few months before that, and I'll have all those linked in the playlist, and people can find out. But this is a slow burner, client of a project.
It's starting to build piece by piece, but it's getting faster soon. We are in operation in Freetown. We have customers there. We have now built the third location up where we can serve customers from. We got a pretty big customer last week, and we have another big customer coming on in the next 2 weeks. And then we are continuing to build more towers around the area of Freetown, and then we go inwards on the countryside. I can show you that on the map a little bit later.
Sure. If I can just put you there about the big customers. So for people who don't know, the problem with Wi-Fi infrastructure in this part of Africa is that it's very, very slow, expensive, and it doesn't cover the entire country. So for, you can't really have the sort of upload speeds that I'm used to in the UK, that people are used to in Europe or the United States. So what you're providing is these Wi-Fi high-speed internet using solar power to fuel them. And these big customers, can you say who they are or how big they are and why they're using your service?
Well, those are corporate customers. I cannot mention them by name, but they're customers like banks or embassies or international organizations and so on. And we have one customer who comes with a big project in the area of payment systems. So those are corporate users. Of course, there's also private users, but they bring a lot less revenue, but they also have different kind of traffic guarantees.
Right.
So we have been building up in Freetown. There has been lots of delays over the years because of this and that and so on. I wish it would have been a lot faster, but that's how it is in those countries. But we have our connection to Paris. We are now adding a connection to Lagos, so we can interconnect in multiple places, because in Lagos there's lots of African internet providers interchanging. and then we are adding from there a connection to Lisbon, so we can have a redundancy.
Okay.
And then we integrate it with our network in Europe.
Okay, so I'm going to keep interrupting you, forgive me, just so people understand what's actually happening. So by connections, you mean the undersea cable connections. So you've got
Yes.
one going from Sierra Leone all the way up to Paris, and you can build another one to Lagos because there's lots of, I suppose, lots of need there, plus also a lot of infrastructure, I would imagine, in Lagos. And then you're going to have another one that connects to Lisbon for redundancy. Does that mean like spare capacity? Additional capacity?
Yeah, the thing is, we need to guarantee that our connection is always up. So if the connection towards the north is being broken, then the whole country would be out of service, and we cannot have that happen. So we are going downwards to Lagos, first of all, also to interconnect with other internet providers there, and then come on another cable from another provider into Europe, so that when one cable is broken, we still have a path to connect to the internet, because most of the internet connection comes from Europe.
Right. And you're not laying the cables, you're connecting to existing cables.
Yeah, we're connecting to existing cables, because laying those cables, that would cost like in the hundreds of the millions of dollars.
Yeah.
We have the possibility to actually participate in such a cable, in a new cable, where somebody is building, but that's like, $150 million kind of project, and my pockets are not that deep for that.
Yes,
otherwise, I would do it. So we're planning all this kind of network. We're also expanding my European network to 100 gig, where we would interconnect with, and we have built 2 additional towers in Freetown, where we can serve customers. And we have been planning all the network in Sierra Leone and in Guinea and in Guinea-Bissau, so we can know where we put the next towers. And we made a plan of over 300 towers in those 3 countries. So it's a massive infrastructure we have to build.
That's incredible. Well, if we look at it country by country, let's start with Sierra Leone. And just so people know, let me share my screen so people can see. So here's what we're talking about: Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau. And you chose these countries because they have a favorable climate for business, are pretty stable politically and economically, and also they have very poor infrastructure for high-speed internet.
Yeah, they all share the same problems, that they only have one submarine cable right now, and they don't have a lot of internet infrastructure inside the country. I mean, they have just built, the government of Guinea and Sierra Leone, they have built some fiber infrastructure into the country, but it's by far not complete in Sierra Leone. In Guinea, it's a little bit better. And in Bissau, there's basically nothing there. Bissau doesn't even have a connection to the sea cable.
Right.
Which means those countries have a poor infrastructure. If you compare, for example, to Côte d'Ivoire or Senegal, there's multiple submarine cables landing there. They have massive fiber inside the country. So it's much easier in those countries to get internet even outside of the capital. While in Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Bissau, it's much worse.
Right. So in a way, these are kind of like virgin, unexplored territories for internet.
Yeah.
There's hardly, which is why the opportunity is so great in these 3 countries. Okay, if you want to share your screen.
Yeah. Oh, where's this? Window has one. Here it is.
What we can do is start off with Sierra Leone and then go into other places, and then maybe towards the end, say about the license in Guinea-Bissau.
Okay, so here we have our planning tool, which we use, where we put the towers. So here in Lumley, this is the landing station. From here, we go up to this tower, which was the first one, which we called Cassava Lodge. And this one over here, which is the Wilberforce location, which we now have built, and it's in testing mode. And then here's our office, which we're connecting. And then we are connecting around those locations here to cover all the city area. And then the next one we're going to build is here up on Regent Hill. We plan the big tower as a distribution center also for the long distance. So if we zoom out here, you see that from this hill here, we can make very long distance links here. This one, for example, is something like 100 kilometers. This one is 114 kilometers. So those are very long distance links, but it brings capacity inside the country.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great tool to play with as well.
Oh, I have been playing with this tool a lot in the last few months. It allows us to find the right locations on the right mountains, and it has been a lot of work to plan all this. For example, here we have some requests. This is the city of what's it called, of Bo. So we have to build a tower there very soon because we have some customer demand there. So we have to go 1 hop, 2 hop there from that hill, and then here right to the border of Liberia. And from here it's pretty flat. So all those towers here cover all this area here. For example, we can simulate this just to give you an example how this looks. We just put this on a 35-meter tower with a 20 dB antenna, and then we say it's 360 for simplification. So you can see that if we put something up here, we have all this area where we can connect customers. So if we put here an infrastructure, we cover a wide area. Also up here, we cover most of the inland here, and so on. Now, from here on to the west, it's much more hilly. It's a little bit more difficult. So here we plan something which is the biggest mountain in Sierra Leone. So you can cover a lot of areas, but when the village is in a dip, then you don't cover it. So you would have to put a relay there, a small one, to cover the villages in a lower area of the country. Okay.
Yeah. Now, in Sierra Leone, which is the crowded bit on the left of the screen, you've got 3 working towers. How many? Yeah. Sorry, in Freetown, how many towers do you envisage having in the city, which is the capital, Freetown?
So if we look at this one, which is the one which is built, you can see we cover a lot of area here up to this location here. And then the next one would probably be this one, where we cover all this piece of the coast. So by having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 towers, we basically cover the whole city. No, 9 if we include this one.
Okay, and you've got 3 now. I mean, are you going to be building in Freetown first and then moving out, or start building in other parts of the country as well?
That's a good question. I mean, we want to go inwards of the country as soon as we can, because the customers there have much more demand. In the city of Freetown, you already have options. There are other providers serving those customers. If you go inland to the countryside, you basically only have like GSM service,
right?
Which is commercially more interesting in the long term, but it's also more challenging because you have to build more towers to get there. So this tower here we are renting. It's not our own tower. We're renting. This one is our own. And this one we are going to build completely from scratch. I mean, this one is on a building. This one is like where there's currently just some there's nothing there, not even electricity. So this one is going to be completely solar powered to do backup, and we're probably going to put some solar panels there as well, so it lasts longer, because the outages are pretty long. I mean, we had an outage recently, and our batteries were holding for like 12 hours, but the outage was like 24.
All right. Wow.
So we actually dispatched a new set of batteries, and you actually have a picture of them. I can show you which boxes are the batteries. And so this is one of the challenges. And yeah, so this is what we're building in Freetown. But we did all the planning here on this tool to cover Guinea as well. So
before we move on to Guinea, I mean, how many towers in all of Sierra Leone roughly do you envisage?
I think it's about 50.
50, and then when will they be done?
One by one over the next few years.
Okay.
It's a question of finance. we need a lot of cash to build one, because those towers, they can be as expensive as $300,000. Like the one up here in the highest mountain is going to be very tough to build.
Yeah.
Because you are on a mountain which is 1,900 meters high, and there's nothing there. So you have to bring concrete up there. You have to bring machinery up there so you can actually drill holes. And it's not so easy accessible. So it's going to be quite a challenge. In the city, it's much easier because you just find a building and then you put a 20-meter pole on it. So that's relatively easy. But if you go to the countryside, then you are on high hills where there's absolutely no infrastructure. There might not even be a road to get up there. So you have to climb or, use foot trails to get there. And then there's no electricity, which is the biggest thing, which means you have to bring a lot of batteries up there, which is heavy and expensive, and a lot of solar panels. We calculated that we need something like 30 solar panels in the bigger sites, which gives us up to 2 kilowatts of power.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And then in terms of funding, how will you do that? Because it was a small ICO.
Well, currently I have funded everything out of my own pockets and the little bit from the ICO, but we have spent far more already. And once we get customers who start paying bigger amounts, then this can actually fund also the expansion. But at some point, we're going to sell more tokens onto the market to get more revenue in, because we still hold those tokens which were not sold on the ICO. But for now, we try to avoid this because the less tokens we sell, the more valuable the tokens are.
Yeah, yeah, it would deflate the value of the tokens that are currently held.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's very, very interesting. And how many customers do you have in Freetown roughly right now?
I can't remember the exact count, but it's like a dozen or two, something like this. And with the new tower, everybody was basically waiting for this new tower which we built. So we were testing this, and the container which is on the way to Freetown, which should arrive in like 2 or 3 weeks, contains the directional antennas to put onto this tower, so we can serve the customers really well. Because currently we only have like a unidirectional antenna up there and the microwave links, so we can test the coverage. But that antenna gives us problems for some reason, and but we planned for directional antennas which go much further, because then you have only like a sector of 1/12 of 360 degrees. So we have like 30-degree sectors.
Right.
And on every location, we have 12 of them.
Okay, very good. All right. Anything else you want to let us know about Sierra Leone before we go on to Guinea?
Well, we have a nice office now. We're developing this, and the office is now connected to that tower since like 3 weeks or so, and we're testing all the equipment. So I'm going to be there in May, and then Fote is also going to be there to unload the container, so he's going to be there like a week or two before me, and then lots of things are going to happen.
Fabulous, fabulous. Okay, good. And you were saying about Guinea, you've been playing with your toy in the country of Guinea.
Yeah, well, we planned, of course, the expansion into Guinea, and Guinea is much bigger. So it goes from up here all the way down here. So we have planned all those sites, and we had a guy running around in the country to plan the first 20 sites or so we're going to build, and to do some due diligence on the locations, where do we connect, how can we connect, and so on. So Guinea is quite a challenge as well. There's also lots of hills up here in this region, and it's a big country. So we are going to start here in the area of, first of all, we don't have the license for Guinea yet, but it's well on the way. They changed the law, and everybody had to get new licenses. So basically nobody has a license in Guinea right now, officially. But they are in the process of issuing the new licenses, and we're going to get it, that's for sure. But we get a license in category B and C. They split it up in 3 areas. So they have like the city of Conakry, which is license A, and then a couple of biggest cities, which are license B, and then category C is like the rest of the country. So we are focusing on B and C, and we forget about the city of Conakry because everybody's there. There's too much competition there already, and it's actually not that bad served. But on the countryside, there's a big issue. So we're going to focus on that one and save the money for the license for A, because that's the most expensive part.
Okay.
So,
on the countryside, is there much demand for Wi-Fi?
Yes. There's lots of demand from the countryside because there's big cities developing. For example, up here, this city here is the city of Bokeh. And in this area, you have a lot of mining activity. So there's lots of international companies there who do bauxite mining, gold mining, and whatever they have in the country. And they need good internet connectivity. So this is probably the first tower we're going to build in Guinea. And this is the second one, which then connects us down here and up here. This is also one which we're looking at. Because this is a very high hill which is overseeing the city, and it can, there's a TV broadcasting station there. And in this area, we can get a tower, and we can actually connect from there directly to Freetown. So we would have a backup, and we can connect here into the city of Conakry to the landing station, for example, where the submarine cable is landing here. So we have 2 towers planned here. This one at the landing station, and this one slightly next to it, where the TV broadcast station is, where they produce the TV thing. And then we can link up here as a distribution location to go all over the country.
Okay, and those 2 towers are just outside the city of Conakry, so they're still in category B and C.
Yeah, well, we can have connectivity here without having a license of A. It's just we cannot serve customers there.
Understood. Okay.
Right. And because the landing station, everybody has to get there because that's the only way out of the country, except if you would go to Freetown.
Okay. And then when do you think the license will be awarded, and when will work?
Well, I think we're going to get it in like in the next 2-3 weeks or so. There has been lots of questions going back and forth. They had everything planned, and then the minister had some comments on it, so they had to change some paperwork. And this is not only for us, this is for everybody. Everybody else has the same problem.
Great. Okay. And then once you get the license, after how long? I suppose then you got to do the planning and building, bringing.
Well, the planning is already here. What we would do is we would buy up an existing tower up here, because there was an old GSM provider which went bankrupt like 10 years ago or so. And there's still some towers there, so we can just buy one up here instead of building our own. And then we are going to build this one here. From here, we actually can have fiber to Conakry. And that's also new, that this fiber is now being put into production. It has been built since a couple of years, but they didn't know what price to charge. But now this is going to change, and it's going to be possible to get a fiber connection from here up to Bokeh. And then we are going to build this tower at Kaolunka, as we say it, which is just a hill next to it because we need it to distribute signals. And then we are going to a city called Mamu, which is somewhere in here. The city here. There is this little bit tricky city. We need something like 3 towers to cover it. And then Labe, which is up here somewhere, which is the most important cities. And then we might go all the way to, where is it? Here, Gekedu. I think this is Gekedu. Or Farana here, somewhere here. Because they can actually connect us into Freetown, into Sierra Leone as well. And there's also lots of customers in that area. And then we complete the rest. It's just not going to be overnight.
No, this is not one of those Lambo tomorrow schemes.
No, this is building a tower sounds easy, but it's not. It's like, okay, you have to buy a piece of land. Then first you have to find the right place to put it. Then you have to buy that piece of land. Then you have to get a container full of the material to build the tower, which can be produced in China or in Russia or somewhere else. Then you have to transport it there, which means first it has to come to the country over a ship, which takes like 4 weeks or so. Then you have to transport with the lorry across the country to that location. And you have to drag it up to the hill somehow. You might not have a crane to mount it, so you have to find some tools how you can mount this into place. You need a big concrete slab, so you need people to dig a hole, fill it with concrete, and have like a basement for the tower, and then you can screw the tower onto it. And once the tower is standing, then you can mount the equipment on it. Then you have to power it somehow, which means you have to build the solar panels up, you have to bring the batteries there. And when that's all in operation, you have to connect it to another site over microwave or over fiber, depending where it is. And then you can start configuring the connectivity and IP, IP address assignments and all this. When this is done, then you can start thinking of connecting customers. And then you have to have a sales office, you have to have people going to the customers to build small towers there on their roof so they can connect to it.
And there's other things that you've missed out in that process. You have to employ people, you have to manage those people that you employ, yep. You have to deal with appropriate licensing and permissions and regulations, yep. And stuff. So yes, this is not a, and that's not as easy as writing code.
No. No. Then we would have been done already.
That's right. That's right. Okay. All right. Anything else about Guinea before we move on to the third country, which was actually the first country?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. We actually planned here in Guinea-Bissau first, because that's the country which is the worst in being served with the internet. And the good news is we finally got our license there after like 4 years of going back and forth and back and forth. And being delayed by the competitors in all possible ways. We finally got our license. So we are officially an ISP in Guinea-Bissau now, and we start building there. And our plan is actually to go from here to build this part here from Bissau up to this tower. And this tower is actually the one in Guinea, which links to the fiber location. So we have to build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hops to serve the city of Bissau, which is the first bit we want to do. So this is quite challenging, because in comparison to the other countries where you can make 100 kilometers link, because you go from mountain to mountain, in Guinea-Bissau you cannot do this, because Guinea-Bissau is flat. And if I say flat, it's like really, really, really flat. If you look at the link here,
opposite of Switzerland, right? Which is where you are.
Yeah, it's like if you look here in this planning tool, you see here.
Yeah.
You know, this is like 21 meters above sea level, and this is like 20 meters above sea level, and it goes as low as, yeah, like 10 meters to 30 meters or so.
Right.
So that's the way the microwaves work with a 25-meter tower. And you cannot go much further than like 20 kilometers, because otherwise, like here you have a little bit of water, you know, you can still link, but if you would link this one like to up here, then the Fresnel zone would touch the ground, which means you're not getting a connection. You know, so even 35 kilometers you cannot do, unless you put like towers of like 60 meters, 100 meters high, which then becomes very, very expensive, because you're also more exposed to wind, and stability is then an issue, and so on and so on. So you have to build a lot of towers there. That's a disadvantage. The advantage, however, is because you have lots of small distances, you can bring higher speed. For example, on those links here, 14 kilometers, 15 kilometers, 13 kilometers, we can use equipment which serves up to 40 gigabit. So that gives us a lot of capacity.
That's incredible. That is really, really incredible. Okay. And I suppose this is where your past experience in building IT infrastructure projects comes into play.
Yeah, I've been doing this in Iceland before, and we know the issues very well.
Yes, Iceland is not flat, and it is much colder than Guinea-Bissau.
Yeah, the heat is also an issue. Wind is not so much an issue. You're not going to have any issues with snow. Rain is going to be an issue because there's a rainy season where you can have heavy rain, and that's actually affecting those microwave point-to-point links. If you have too much rain, too much water in the air, the higher frequency microwave links are going to drop.
Okay.
So there's a calculator which tells you, how many hours per year you're not going to have any signal.
Wow. Okay, because of the rain. And how does the heat affect the work?
The heat affects the work, for example, when you're talking about batteries. If you use, what's it called? The typical car battery, which is lead acid. If you use them in Iceland, you can probably run them for 20 years, 15 years. Normally lifespan is like 10 years, but because it's cold climate, they can last like 15 years. In those hot climates, they last 5 years, which means you buy a lot of batteries because you need the battery backup system because you're totally solar powered in those locations, which means you buy a hell of a lot of batteries. It's very expensive to transport because they're very heavy. And then you have to replace them after 5 years.
Right.
That's not a good thing. So the solution is to spend like 3-4 times more money and use lithium batteries, which lasts much longer, and they're actually like warm climate. So, we choose lithium batteries because the lifespan is much longer.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And they're not that heavy.
The other thing I'm getting from you is that even once all the network is built, there's all the maintenance of it and the, keeping it going and all the management and stuff that needs to be done.
Yes. Well, because we are doing this all solar powered, we have less issues. Most of the competitors out there, they are like the mobile operators. What they do is they put generators there, which means you have to send somebody to refuel them all the time. Because we use solar power, we don't have to do this. You might have to send once somebody there to to clean up dust, which is being collected on the solar panels or so. Or if something fails, you have to send one there. But normally, those things, they just run forever without touching it. In terms of maintenance, of course, you have to have the right tools to see if every link is up and running, if the batteries are being drained and not being refilled by the solar system and so on. So you have to have the proper monitoring tools for this. And we already have such a tool in service, which tells us every time a link goes down or up, or when power disappears and so on.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, now, so you've got it going in Sierra Leone with customers. You're going to start working in Guinea-Bissau because you've got the license, and also start working in Guinea as soon as you do get the license in the next couple of weeks or so. Is it like you're going to have 3 projects on the go, or you're going to finish one, then start the other?
Yeah, they're gonna build up in parallel. For example, this part from Bissau here up to here is going to go together with the connection from Bokeh, which is here, because this is the area where we get customers in Guinea. And from here we connect down to Conakry on the fiber, and we go out of the country. On the same time, if we build this tower up here, at these locations where the TV station is, we also interconnect with the connection in Sierra Leone, so we have a backup. So we connect here to the sea fiber. If this sea fiber here fails, then we can go over Sierra Leone and vice versa. And from here we're selling Bissau, so those countries go well together in terms of build-up. It's a question of cash flow at the end, and where do we get the most customers, and where's the biggest potential.
Right. Okay, and I suppose that would be in Freetown, and then that part of Guinea that you talked about where they need where all the most mining companies are. Okay. So Andreas, one way you could generate additional income would be by selling the tokens that you already hold, and of course getting, pitching for venture capital and and equity and stuff like that. Traditional ways of raising money. What about a change in the code of the token? If the token holders that were bought in the first ICO, they're CAJUTEL A, and then CAJUTEL B, the next release is a different code, doesn't give the same level of rewards, and or a change in the code where large corporate customers, if they hold the tokens themselves, they get a discount on the fees that they pay. And given the tokens are in limited supply, that would drive up the value of the tokens on the open market and create a circular market for them.
Yeah, this is all possible ways to expand it. The problem is it makes things complex. The token holding part has been already complex enough from a legal perspective and from how they call it, from a financing perspective. One of the problems, for example, is if we get lots of tokens sold, we get Bitcoins or Ethereums or so on, and then you have to cash that out into money. And then the banks are starting to ask a lot of questions. And banks and Africa is just like a red flag. It's like we have been running around with another project right now where we have larger amounts because we have to build something for somebody else. And we were trying to find the right bank to work with us. And European banks, they just say, oh, Africa, we don't have a clue about Africa. It's like, okay, everything which has Africa label on it, they immediately think of like terrorism financing or money laundering or drug smuggling or whatever you do. And because they have those attributes attached to it, the banks are very scared of it, and they don't even want to go into a project and do their due diligence to verify that it's not, because they're too lazy, and because they are afraid they get big fines. And that's one of the biggest issues we had lately. Just to okay, simple example, I have to send money to the office down there so they can build the next tower because the company doesn't have enough money. Well, you send 10,000 euros to the Bank of Sierra Leone. It took us like 2 months to get it cleared out of the bank there because they were like asking a million questions because they were just afraid that whatever. And one of the reasons is because Guinea-Bissau is in the picture and they have no clue what's happening there. So, and that was even an African bank. With a European bank, it's just they close your account and things like that.
Wow.
And that's one of the problems which is there. So one thing I was thinking of, and that's just currently in my mind, it's not a finished idea, is to create a holding company, which then holds all 3 countries. Because the current token is basically out of the Guinea-Bissau company. We have to move all the 3 companies into one basket because the original project was for Guinea-Bissau. And then things changed a bit and we had the opportunity to do Sierra Leone, which was not even in the ICO plan originally. So we want to put everything into one big holding company and then maybe issue a token on the holding company, which then would buy back all the other tokens from the market. And then you could do all those kinds of things. But we have to get some legal advice on this, on how to do this properly so we don't get into any issues on how to handle this. Because it's, this field is the Wild West. And when it comes to taxes or banks and so on, it becomes so difficult that you have to do this properly from the beginning.
Right. Wow. And the irony is, the issue of sending the money, like you said, taking 2 weeks to send $10,000 or euros, right? The irony is that's the very issue that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies can solve in minutes, but you can't because of the...
If I would be able to pay everyone in Bitcoin, it would be a lot faster.
It would be. And can you not reroute the payments somehow? You may have already considered this, right? But reroute the payments through Nigeria or South Africa, which have more advanced financial infrastructure?
You mean exchanging the coins in those countries?
Yeah.
I haven't thought about this. I haven't seen any Bitcoin exchange in those countries, but there might be.
Yeah, I mean, because Nigeria, I think they're using cryptocurrencies a hell of a lot. And Nigeria and South Africa both have more advanced economic, financial infrastructure, as well as, the legacy infrastructure. And also, I think also the cryptocurrency infrastructure might be worth exploring.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right, Andreas, anything else you want to let us know?
No, but we have some pictures you haven't shown yet.
Well, let me see. Do you know what I can do? Let me see that. Let me share the screen. Okay, so Fode, who is the operations director for the actual work that gets done in West Africa, he sent me these pictures. This is some equipment that's arrived in Freetown. These are towers that are being built or have been built. And every time he sends me these pictures, I think, oh, I just want to climb up this tower and have a look around the city. And let's have a look. Now, these are active towers in the business district. At least I know one of them is, I imagine.
Well, this one is the, this one is the wheel. Let's just go one back. Yeah, no, not this one. This one is the Wilberforce Tower. So here on the bottom, you see a link on the left side. You see a link going to the landing station. Yeah, that's just a wire, but the box there on the tower, that's our microwave link to the landing station. And then on the right side, we have a link to our office. And then this white box there, that's actually the switch which relays. So the next antennas are going to be just added there. Yeah, that's the one which is at the office, which receives the signal. And this is before it was added to it. So this is the tower at the office, which when it was under construction, that's actually finished now. Okay, and that's the same one, I think. And then also something else, which is the license for Guinea-Bissau. Let me show that. Yeah, that's the license we got finally. That's only the first part of the license. We are going to get a second part with the individual frequencies we asked in addition. So this license basically says, yes, you are an internet provider and you are allowed to use those Wi-Fi frequencies. We are allowed to use microwave frequencies in 6 gigahertz and in 5.9.6.4. So that's the basic thing that we are an operator. And in the next few days, we should get an additional papers stating all the frequencies we are licensed to use on the access part, which is going to be 450 megahertz, 700 megahertz, 3.3 to 4 or 3.3 to 5 gigahertz, and what else? 11 gigahertz for microwave links and 70 and 80 gigahertz for the high speeds and microwave links. So that's going to be a massive amount of spectrum, which we are going to need to serve the customers with high speed. Very, very good. Okay, well, listen, Andreas, thank you. I commend you and the team for all the work that you've been doing these last few years, and for the token holders like myself who have patiently been waiting and still waiting for the fruits of your labor. For anybody who's watching, if you have any questions or comments, what I invite you to do is to join the Telegram group. I'll link to everything in the description below, and also check out the website, read the white paper, check out my previous videos on this. You can see how it's been developing over the years. And between now and when I see you next, please keep filling your pockets with crypto profits. This is Crypto Rich and Crypto Andreas signing out. All the best. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.